gentlemen, I'm happy to be back here for our final fireside chat and personality profiling. I have a very phenomenal woman joining me. Recently, there was a big review. She was previously the finance director for ABSA, Ghana, and West Africa. And she has recently pivoted into a new role as the CFO for MTN Ghana. In fact, she is the first female and first Ghanaian CFO of MTN Ghana. She's a chartered accountant, has chalked several laurels, both Ghana and abroad. We would have her here to speak a lot, so I won't bore you at this point. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Antoinette Kwofie. Thank you for joining us, Antoinette.
Thank you, Papa.
So we've had a long day and very insightful discussions so far. We would delve into Antoinette's journey at this point so that we can all pick very useful lessons for our careers. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
So can you walk us through your journey? You've had a very beautiful journey, career journey, leadership journey, if I must say, both Europe and in Ghana. Can you walk us through the journey and what lessons we can all learn?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Akofa. And good afternoon, ladies and the few fine gentlemen amongst us. Okay, so hello? Okay, yeah. So my journey started many years ago. I get asked a lot, who's Antoinette? And I say, Antoinette is, she's a scientist, turned agricultural economist, turned an accountant, and a finance person. And that is a summary of the journey I've walked. My journey has evolved. My journey has had many phases. But all through, I think, one guiding light was something my mother told me many years ago when I was going to Form 1 in Achimota School. And the only advice she gave me when I was going was, she said, know thyself. Know where you're coming from, where you're going to, and keep that focus. So when I went to school, she said, whatever anybody around you does, just remember, it's your journey. So the lessons I have learned along my journey, I would say, starts from knowing yourself, knowing what matters to you, knowing what you're out to achieve, knowing what you want, understanding what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and building on them. So I remember I finished university and I said to a friend of mine, and networks are important, as has been said many times today. I said to someone, I'm looking for a job. Can you help me find a job? And I remember he asked me, are you looking for a job or are you looking for a career? And I said, what's the difference? Me pejuma ya, pejuma mami I will say, you're coming to speak English. And he said, it's an important question. I didn't realize how important a question it was till much later in my career. And I told him that I wanted to work in finance. That's all I wanted to do. And he said, what do you want to be? I said, I want to be a financial analyst. I don't think I even had a clue what I was saying. He said, okay, what does a financial analyst do? He said, hey, nah, interview before interview here. What's this about? But he sent me to a few places to go talk to a few people, to go apply for a few jobs. And I ended up agreeing to work for one of the companies I spoke to, Ernst & Young. And I went in there very green, no accounting background. So I worked in the corporate finance unit. And as I interacted with the people, one tenet that has gone through all my life is that I try to learn as much as I can, whenever I can, and from whoever I can. And I dare say that the best lessons I've learned in my career are actually from people that, on paper, I'm a whole lot more qualified than. It doesn't matter from who. If there's an opportunity to learn, learn. Because once you've learned it, you know what? Nobody can crack your head and take out what you've learned. It's yours for the rest of your life. And you can decide how you pivot what you have, the experience that you have, to do something else. And so I learned from, I was going on rounds with HR, I went with the auditors, I went with the accountant, I did everything. And then I decided to go take an accounting degree. And there also, whilst I was studying, I went to the UK to study. And whilst I was studying, I got a job. I remember it was a credit controller job in a health trust. And there too, I did everybody's work. Seriously, I think I was the dog's body in the organization. Formed part of the most trying times in my life. And people have said, Abna said, challenges are a blessing. Indeed they are. Because when I look back, I think those challenging times defined how the rest of my career went. And why do I say that? Barclays had just gone through a rapid expansion, and there were a lot of issues that came out after. I joined Barclays at the tail end of the expansion, end of 2007. They made a healthy profit. And then in 2008, for the first time in their history, they made a loss. And they made losses for 2 consecutive years. But in that process, there was a lot of cleaning up that had to be done. During that time, actually, whilst I was still learning, because I was new to banking, and I walked into banking and realized that actually, their balance sheet is the opposite of what I knew. Right? And so trying to get my head around that and learning in that process, and then you get landed, I got landed in a situation where my direct boss left and his direct boss left in a time when we were doing a cleanup. So we were all stuck. Everybody had to, and we were in a big team. Everybody had to play a part. And that journey, and all I did was I kept my head down and I just worked. Which brings me to another lesson. Hard work and commitment pay. No matter what, it always pays at the end of the day. And I tell people that work like nobody is watching. Work hard without keeping an eye on the prize. Just think about making an impact and adding value wherever you find yourself. And you know what? When you've made an impact, when you've added value, the prize will find you. And I remember at the end of 2008, it was the first, and we said we had had such a rough year as a team, so one of the team members had been appointed. There was a new member who was now managing the team whilst we waited for a substantive finance director. And they said, considering the year we've had, we can't get good ratings. And so there's a process around, and I know most multinationals have it, where the ratings are submitted and discussions are held. So the manager came back and called me and said, your hard work has been noticed. I said, really? By who? And he said he went to the country management committee with our ratings. And he was told that you can't give this young lady this rating. She adds too much value and she works too hard for you to give her this rating. And I was given the highest rating that was available on our scale. I wasn't working for a rating, I was working to add value. But you do your work in such a way that when you are not in the room, people who have seen the quality of work you provide will be your voice at the table. That's extremely important. And actually, I think that registered in a lot of people's minds. And so opportunities, when opportunities came up, I was given opportunities. I went as a finance business partner. I was asked to head the business performance and analytics team because I just took on more work. I did whatever had to be done. And then they said, you're doing the role of the head anyway. So we are going to assess you for the role and promote you into the role. And that was how I got my first promotion in Barclays. And then I looked at that point in my career, I said, I'd like to be a CFO someday. I've done almost like a management accounting kind of role for some time. And so to be a CFO, ideally you should have financial control experience. And I had done financial control in the UK, but like I said, the balance sheet of the bank was something different. So, which brings me to the next lesson, that it's okay to ask for what you want. Someone said, put up your hand and ask for what you want. The worst, my mother used to say, the worst you could get is a no. And as Abna said, a no, I don't know anyone that a no has killed just yet. And so I went to my boss and said, I'd like some experience in financial control. So if there's an opportunity for a secondment, could I please have a shot at it? And she said, yes, you can. Believe it or not, as fate may have it, 6 months later, a financial controller got an opportunity outside the bank. And guess who was asked to act? Yes, because I had put up my hand. I had dared to put up my hand. And when I got the opportunity to act, I gave it my all and performed to the extent that when the role was floated, I managed to get it on a permanent basis. Then, believe it or not, 8 months later, the MD of the bank was moving on, and the finance director was asked to act as MD. And the board asked her, the challenge is that you are in a sensitive role. Is there anybody that can perform your role whilst you act as MD? And she said, yes, I know someone who can. She believed in me more than I believed in myself. So she came from the board meeting. Interestingly, that day, we were wearing the same clothes. She came and she said, you're going to act as finance director. And I said, what? She said, yes, I'm going to act as MD, so you act as finance director. I said, okay. I'm sure you're still here, so we can do it, right? And I started acting in the finance director role. A few months later, she asked me, so obviously they went through the process of recruiting an MD. Actually, I've not told the story, part of the story, and then Patience got appointed as MD. And I remember she asked me, would you be interested in applying for the CFO role when it comes up? And I remember my answer was, hell no. And I've thought a lot about why hell no. I was scared out of my mind. I'm like, huh? So now it's not that I'm acting and doing it at the side of my table. I'm actually going to be sitting with this responsibility, being the finance director for this bank. Hey, madam, let this cap pass me by. And she didn't say anything, right? She was like, okay, it's your choice. It's your journey, ladies. Own it. So one night, around 2 a.m., like 2 weeks later, I couldn't sleep. At that time, I was still doing financial controller and acting in CFO. So I couldn't sleep well at night. And then I just asked myself, but you are doing the role. And I acted in the role for a year. I said, you are doing the role. What's the worst that could happen? Another thing, and today I'm going to leave you with a lot of my mother's lessons. And another thing my mother used to say was that the only games you lose are the ones you don't take part in. If you get into the ring, you either win the game or you win the lesson. And if you don't win the game and you win the lesson, it's a foundation for you to go and build up and come back to fight stronger another day. And so I said, well, let's give it a shot. And I went to apply for the role. I competed, and I got the role. And interestingly, well, I did it for 8.5 years. And though I say so myself, I dare say I was a fairly successful CFO. So what I tell people is, and Rejoice would have heard this before, I say, do it afraid. It doesn't matter how scared you are. Do it afraid. Give it a shot. Because like I said, it's a win-win situation either way. And so after 8.5 years, I decided to, and a few people have asked me, why leave banking? Why go into technology? And I said, after 8.5 years, it was time to try something different. Because I've learned that in life, and I write every now and then on LinkedIn, I've learned that in life, you seek to be a better version of yourself. And I think this offers me growth and the ability to pivot my financial skills and learn something new in addition, because it's a very dynamic world we live in today. And it's essential to keep learning and learning and relearning. That's the world we live in today. So that's me.
Such an inspiring journey. Very, very inspiring. Thank you, Antoinette, for sharing all of this. We've learned lots of nuggets from this. What resonates very well with me is commitment and hard work. You know, sometimes you hear people say, oh, work smart. You don't have to really work hard. But what I think really works is hard work as well. But the hard work, the commitment always pays. And learning, being ready to dirty your hands in whatever role that you play in also. So thank you, Antoinette, for sharing those nuggets with us. A lot has been said here already, so I'll wrap it up and ask you to share lessons with all of us here. There are a lot of young people here looking to reach the levels that you've reached in their career as well. Looking at the trends, you know, you mentioned how you have pivoted into the telecommunications industry. We know digital is the way, you know, so it's very interesting that you're going that way to add more value to yourself. What advice would you give young people as the trends are changing? What should we do so that we can get to the levels that you have reached here?
I think what do young people have to do? Obviously, like you said, the trends are digital. And like Sylvia, I don't believe machines will replace human beings. I believe machines will enhance what we do. However, if you do not evolve, it's very easy for the machines to get rid of you. So you need to learn and acquire new skills. You need to, like I said, learn and relearn. And I've already spoken about hard work. You need to identify where you're going, what you want, and actually build your skills to get ready for that. A personal mantra of mine is that success is a result of preparation meeting opportunity. Opportunities always come, but if you don't prepare, they'll pass you by. You've got to prepare and make sure that you're ready, and that goes with the building skills and building relevant skills that will take you where you want to go. And what I'd like to say as well is that, you know, this life that we live, do not despise humble beginnings. I've spoken about learning from whoever you can. I've spoken about, you know, a lot of us, and recently I wrote something around competition and collaboration. You know, the world we live in today and the way it's evolving is less about competition and more about collaboration. You can build your skills to the nth degree. The reality is that you will not have all the skills for every single thing you come across. So how do you get somebody who has compensating skills to add to yours so that together you can make a difference? And most multinationals, most organizations are going, banks now collaborate with fintechs. They collaborate with all other sorts of partners. Even telecom companies collaborate with fintechs and other kinds of companies. Partnerships are the way forward. And so we also need to develop our collaborative skills and learn to work with each other. I tell people that we need to learn to swim together. There's enough space in the sky for a lot of stars. When I was growing up, we used to sing a song about brighten the corner where you are. We've gone beyond that, ladies. You've got to brighten wider spaces. Don't just brighten your corner. Brighten a wider space. And if you brighten a wider space, and I brighten a wider space, can you imagine how bright the world is going to be? We owe it to each other to collaborate and to make sure that we make another person's life easier. We create impact in the world that we are living in, because that's the only way we're going to move this world forward. I believe in Africa, and I know sometimes I get like, are we ever going to get there? But majority of the time, I believe we have what it takes to get there. But it is only through collaboration and building the right partnerships that we can get there. So to the young people, the sky is your stepping stone. I don't believe in setting limits on yourself. You can, if you want to, you can be president of Ghana, right? We know that our current president speaks about having decided to be a president when he was a young boy, and then he worked towards it. So set your goals high. Don't put any limits on yourself. And every day you live, seek to be a better version of yourself than the day before. Because every little growth contributes. You look back one day and you realize, oh wow, is this how far I've come? It's because it will only come with a little growth every day. So seek to be a better version of yourself. Those are the words I use.
Thank you so much. Partnerships and collaboration is the way, not competition. So I would add that this is not just, it's just not another talk shop. We are here to be inspired. We have been inspired. We've learned a lot. And if I want to look back on my own personal journey, I have been inspired by a lot of women out there. You know, I was in a role where I would analyze financials of banks, and one thing I would always look out for is who are on the boards, on the senior management, and I'll be inspired. I want to be like them, and that has really brought me far. So I would say this is not just another talk shop. We should be inspired. We should go out of here with all the nuggets and work at it. Finally, let's be visible. Let's be visible. If you are here, you don't have a LinkedIn, whatever, please go on to LinkedIn now, sign up, post your thoughts there. So I read a lot from Antoinette, from other people.
Actually, Papa inspired me to start writing on LinkedIn.
Wow.
I started writing because she was writing.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So, wherever you are, so I write on BFT sometimes, and I was inspired by my managing director. He said, Akofa, you have to write this article. So he would give me a topic when I write, so let's be visible. It helps a lot. Let's be visible. We are all not where we were some years back, It's about being visible, taking that step, writing, sharing your thoughts, and then we will all get better. Thank you so much.
One last thing. In the process, I always say that feedback is food for champions. If you receive the same feedback from a number of people, please pause and take a look in the mirror. Take a good, hard look in the mirror and speak to people who will tell you the things you don't want to hear, because it can only help you get better. You can choose how you interpret the feedback and how you're going to address it, but never let it be because you didn't take feedback. Feedback is food for champions. Another day, I'll tell you how feedback helped my journey and made me a better leader than I ever could be. Thank you.